I have a problem with programmers. I just don't understand some of these mindsets of some of these programmers, or maybe I should say programmers. And allow me to preface this by saying, while there are a lot of ignorant individuals that are in the programming space, I'd like to believe, I am an optimistic individual, but I would like to believe that there are a lot more good people than bad people. It's just the more I code, the more I have to use online resources, and the more of these troll programmers, that's why I'm going to refer to them as troll programmers, because you shouldn't pay these types of people any mind, but I just see them more and more, and it's annoying, and I want to talk about it. I thought I had it all figured out after making Stack Overflow's full ideas video, because I basically came to the same conclusion as this fella right here. When someone says you should do more research, or that your question is stupid, or that they downvote you into the ground, it really means that they can't articulate it clear enough, or they don't understand it themselves and they want to seem like they do. I figured that the majority of these individuals that are just ignorant, these troll programmers online, are experiencing the Dunning-Kruger effect and don't know how to properly handle it. They want to appear that they are so much better than everybody else because they can print Hello World. And it's not a bad thing to be excited about printing Hello World, but it is trying to tear down other people just to make yourself feel better because you have this newly acquired skill? See, even saying it out loud, it doesn't really make much sense to me. Y'all let me know if I'm off base, but I thought I'd figured it out. I thought all of these troll programmers were just new programmers trying to make themselves feel smart. And I thought everyone else saying not Stack Overflow is software engineering as a whole, which, by the way, I was really hoping for a little bit of pushback on this video. Not for engagement or drama or anything like that, but because I was hoping that I was off base, that my experience was not the same as everyone else's, and it was just a one negative experience compared to everybody else. But given the fact that this video has like 98-99% like to dislike ratio and all the comments are supporting what I'm saying, it's a bit troubling. But I'll agree with this sentiment, and I said I agree. Stack Overflow just seems to exemplify it. And again, I was hoping that it's software engineering as a whole, that it was just those few really loud new programmers that want to pretend that they're better than everybody else because they have an inflated ego. Until I read comments like this. Stack Overflow is pretty hard for beginners. When I was starting Swift, he had a question. He posted on Stack Overflow, and a pretty famous Swift guy came on, berated me, downvoted my post, and worst of all, I'm not sure really why it's not showing it, but that was so discouraging when I was starting out. Which that's the worst part of all of this, because there are so many people who are just young or new and optimistic, and they're excited to get into this programming world, and then they face people like the pretty famous Swift guy, or all of those new programmers that want to pretend that they're better than everybody else, and it discourages them because it makes them feel like all people in the industry are like this. And again, I would like to believe that only the loud minority are like this, whereas the majority are just good people. Still not sure if that's true, but that's my theory. So I don't have it figured out. If a guy can be pretty famous in Swift, then that means he must have at least a little bit of skills to back him up, some experience, and he's not just one of these Dunning-Kruger effect type people. So that blows that theory out of the water. And so does this comment. I mentioned this in How Long I Code a Day, that video that I uploaded recently. How many hours does a successful programmer code per day? Most of these answers are fairly solid, I think. I haven't really gone through all of them, but then you have this guy. Let's see, there are 24 hours a day. You sleep for 9, you eat for 2, and your daily commute is about half an hour each way, right? So you should code for 12 hours every single day. If you don't live and breathe code, you're probably in the wrong line of work. Really successful coders code at work, then go home and have side projects at home. Let's just get this straight. He is saying that when you're not sleeping, eating, or driving, you should be coding. No other life outside of that. And assuming this isn't an overall troll account, this guy says he has 25 years in the video game industry, CS major from UW-Madison. So he obviously has some experience in the field, but he could still be one of those people that don't know as much as he thinks, so he tries to put everyone else down. Hold up, tell me how this makes any sense. I was looking at this guy's profile just to see some of his other answers on things, and someone asked, I want to be a game developer. What are your specified courses or skills I have to learn to be qualified for working in this field? And his first sentence is, I am assuming by developer, you mean programmer. It's the same thing. And then I kept reading. I wanted to see how he identified himself, and he's been developing video game for over 25 years. I have taught game development at something. So which is it? Is it programmer to you or is it developer to you? Come on, man. I'm not saying this isn't good advice, but why this sentence when even yourself is contradicting that same sentence in how you describe yourself? I just don't get people, man. I just don't get people who try to be better than other people by correcting them on something so minor that doesn't even matter. Oh no, here's another one. Do you believe in aliens? Why or why not? You know, if you have any level of common sense, that they're asking, do you believe that aliens exist? But he goes on to correct this person. I do not believe in extraterrestrials. He had to make sure he corrected aliens to extraterrestrials. Nor do I believe that extraterrestrials have visited us, which I think is what you meant to ask. Come on, man. These are really the types of people I talk about. They want to just one-up you. Make it seem like they're smarter than they really are, just to make themselves feel good. And I wish that's where my problem with programmers stopped. What about people who do it one way and think that if you do it any different way, that you aren't a real programmer, or that you don't know what you're doing? I've been experiencing this for years. Every little opinion that I may have, there's always those people that want to call me a fake programmer, that you don't know what you're doing. Like just in a recent video, I was called not a real programmer, or that you don't even know what you're doing, because I don't have a lot of GitHub contributions compared to them. Now, they didn't link their GitHub account, so who really knows, but their overall sentiment is more GitHub contributions equals better coder. Apparently, they've never heard of GitLab or Bitbucket or proprietary software that isn't open source, and that people don't always use private repositories on GitHub. Or if I don't code after work every single day, then again, I'm not a real programmer. If I code for over 6 hours a day, my brain melts, completely fried. There's zero chance I am coming home after work just to code more, especially when I had this YouTube channel that I wanted to build and I was coding all day at work already. But I'm not a real programmer, even though I'm working professionally as a software engineer. Or what about the Linux people? Oh, I just made a video on why I code on Linux instead of Windows, but I didn't say anywhere in that video that if you code on Windows, you're bad. I just said this is why I prefer Linux. This is why I think Linux is better in these ways, but that has zero prowess over whether or not you're a good programmer. There are plenty of good programmers who use Mac OS, who use Windows, who use Linux. Your operating system of choice does not dictate whether or not you know how to program. Or what about Intel versus AMD versus the new MacBook? I remember back in the day, I used to recommend MacBooks because I really liked MacBooks. I would get a lot of pushback saying I was an Apple shill, this and that, but then I just made a video late last year about how Intel sent me a laptop, and then everyone's saying no. Why would you use a Windows laptop? You need to get a MacBook. Or that's an Intel CPU. Everyone knows AMD is vastly superior, or the new A1 MacBook chip or whatever it's called. That one's way better too. Newsflash, any brand new laptop with decent specs, if you're a programmer, it'll do you just fine. I also got a lot of pushback years ago when I made a joke about how real programmers don't actually use Vim. Like, we want our tools to work for us. It was so obviously a joke that I think I even winked after it, but everyone said, no, only real programmers use Vim. It's like, no. If you use Vim, fine. If you don't use Vim, fine. Again, that has no say over your programming skills. And then the end all be all, what programming language do you use? Python? Pfft, Python's not real. I use Java. Pfft, Java's not real. I use C. C isn't real. I use Fortran. Fortran isn't real. I use machine language. Zeros and ones, bitch. Zeros and ones. All this is just crap. Everyone are individuals. Everyone has their own preferences over operating system, over computer. Their budget will dictate some of these things. They have different programming needs for different languages and tools that they use. Maybe they prefer one IDE over another. I got a lot of flack for using Eclipse when IntelliJ is vastly superior, when in reality they both get the job done. Your way may be better for you, but just because it's better for you does not mean it's better for somebody else. It's fine to share your experiences and share why you think it's better for your use case, but just because somebody else uses something that you don't doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. I really struggled making this video because I didn't know exactly what angle I wanted to take. I didn't want to act like a whiny little you-know-what, because that's not the case at all. It's just I have little tolerance for ignorance. I may have already said that in this video. So if you could, please like this video, subscribe, check out some of my other content and see if you like it about coding and Linux recently and stuff like that. And remember, if you didn't download games in your TI 84 Plus, and if you didn't have the Silver Edition, I don't even know why you're a programmer. I think that's all I have to say on the matter.